It's bourbonblog.com. You have probably heard, and if you haven't now, you're hearing is the big news in the world of bourbon and spirits this week. Our good friends at Blue Run Spirits, who've been making some wonderful whiskey that we enjoy showcasing around the country. They've been acquired by Molson Coors Beverage Company. And cheers, gentlemen, to celebrate that. We invited on two very special guests. We have David Coors, who is the executive chairman of the board of the Coors Spirits Company underneath Molson Coors Beverage Company, and our good friend Mike Montgomery. He is now, your new title is VP of Coors Spirits Company.
That's right. Tom, thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Cheers to you. What are you drinking today?
Exciting news. I actually had some of the Emerald Rye whiskey, the Blue Run Emerald Rye whiskey that I'm enjoying here. I like it.
It's great for celebrations.
It is. Well, this definitely is a celebration. I would say with a name like yours, David. You've been with the Molson Coors for a number of years, right?
Yeah, well, I guess unofficially since birth, fifth generation of the Coors family, and so fortunate to have that, but also been with the company for 13 years now, but really started our journey into spirits 3 years ago. When we started that journey, I was leading the efforts.
Excellent. And Mike, you've been with them for
3 days, three amazing days. It's we spent the first, I think, hour as part of the honeymoon phase, and now we're diving into making sure that we can learn about each other's brands even more and find a way to take them to the next level and continue to delight the consumer base even more.
Well, the first question to ask, I would think, when there's a new relationship, we often ask, how'd you guys meet? So why don't we address that? How did you all meet? What happened?
Yeah, I can start with that one, Mike. It was last fall, and I was in Louisville, and our friends at Georgetown invited us to dinner, and we found ourselves at the table with a few of the Blue Run folks, including Jesse and John McKnight and Annie Brown, and we just had a wonderful dinner, and we were talking about each other's whiskeys and brands and visions, and we just kind of kept in touch, and it slowly blossomed from there. That was really the night that kicked it all off, and we're just amazed how we shared each other's visions and desires and passions for quality and products as well. When they were impressed with the products I sent to them, and I was blown away by the Blue Run products they sent to me. It was meant to be.
Started trading some bourbons back and forth and realized we got a good thing here.
Exactly.
And Tom, I remember getting a phone call from the guys that next day saying, we just met the greatest guy. You're not going to believe it. We met David Coors, and we should figure out how to do something with these guys.
Right.
Because, as you know, Tom, it's all about people.
Right. It is.
And when you find the right people in life, in business, you want to figure out how to do more with them and work with them. And so David's done a lot in his 3 years on the spirits side of the Coors business. We've done a lot in the 3 years we've been around on the Blue Run side, and now we're gonna put our powers together and make something even bigger and stronger.
Excellent. What can we see? Obviously, we've enjoyed the last several years of Blue Run because you all started in around 2020, right?
Yeah, late. It was fall of 2020 with our first release, which you remember well. It was that 13-year bourbon that we worked on with the great Jim Rutledge, and that put us on the map in terms of winning a couple best in categories at the San Francisco Spirits Competition, and then we were off to the races.
And now, moving forward, the same team that's been at Blue Run will be part of Blue Run still.
Yes, yeah. We want to make sure that we maintain everything that we've instilled into Blue Run, and David has seen that vision from day one, and shares that same vision for the future. And that's what's really exciting, is that not only do we get to apply what we know to these great brands that David has built in Five Trail and Barmen 1873, but he gets to apply everything that he knows in building in building such an amazing company to Blue Run, and together we're going to grow.
Yeah, Tom, when I got to know the team and then started to meet Mike and also Tim, it was like Mike talked about, when you meet good people and you want to do something together, that is, hugely powerful. But then as we went through this deal, this is not you guys, right off into the sunsets. We're gonna keep you on board and put you to work and see this vision through collectively. And it was so great to know that they're all in, fully committed, and going to help us out in areas that we need some, and we'll help them out in areas where we need some. So.
Excellent. Yeah, talk about a little more about that vision. I mean, obviously, I think it's cool to hear visions that were exchanged from the beginning. What are the visions for Blue Run, and also for your other spirits? Because it's just been founded this week, the Coors Company. It's brand new. You started a few years ago with your first couple of releases, but now it's truly more solidified, right?
Yeah, on our side, we started with our first release was Five Trail blended American whiskey. Won a double gold at San Francisco in 2021, or I guess it was 20. We launched in 21. It won the award in 22, and so we started with that, and then this spring we launched a bourbon called Barmen 1873 Bourbon, which is an homage to my great-great-grandfather and the town he immigrated from in Germany to found the Coors Brewery in Golden, Colorado. And so we had this portfolio of a blend American whiskey, award-winning bourbon. And then, obviously the Blue Run portfolio speaks for itself and the accolades that they have won. But we thought we wanted to come together as a shared vision and portfolio approach. And like Mike talked about, how they can add value to what we've done with our brands. And so, yeah, we're going to take this portfolio together and continue to drive forward like Blue Run has done on the innovation side as well as on our end, and add more to the portfolio going forward.
Maybe we will even see some, is it possible, some of the favorite beers from the Coors Company being aged in used Blue Run barrels? Is that a possibility?
Well, we did release just last fall. We released a cask finish series of the Five Trail blended American whiskey, where we took our blend and we aged it in Imperial Porter beer barrels from our wonderful craft brand in Colorado called AC Golden Brewing Company. And so we did dabble in that, and there's some more fun stuff coming this fall on our side. And then, yeah, the opportunities are endless as we integrate Blue Run.
Excellent. And that distillery, it's still looking towards 2025.
Yeah, I always like to say, and that when we started having these conversations and I learned more about the Blue Run team and also saw them post that post, it certainly got my juices flowing, got super excited about their vision and how they approach things so differently. And that was something we said, yeah, we're committed to ensuring that we have a home in Kentucky, and that's still part of the plan.
Coolest looking, I mean, maybe one of the coolest looking distilleries I've ever seen. I mean, is that what the whole idea was, Mike, just to blow us away with coolness? I mean, because that's what's happened here.
Yeah, Tom, it's when you look at the bottle, and we've talked about this before, and your listeners have heard this a little bit, but we didn't want to just do the same thing over and over again. I like to talk about it as in terms of the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We think differently, and David thinks differently, and we see the world differently. We see there's so much opportunity to explore the art of the possible. Right. And we've done that with the bottle, in terms of a minimal approach. There's not a lot of paper on the bottle. There's a butterfly on the bottle that is meant to stand out and mean something. And when you look at the photo of the renderings of the distillery that you just put up,
Yeah.
that is the goal. We want this to be a beacon for people from around the world to come and visit, and that includes bourbon fans, that includes fans of architecture, and the list goes on and on. But it's meant to be gorgeous. It's meant to be welcoming, and that's what our brand with the Blue Run side and David's brands with Five Trail and Barmen 1873 are meant to evoke, right? We're trying to create this sense of home and family, and togetherness that bourbon evokes. That's what we're in it for, right? Is there's a great sense of community and enjoyment, and so if we can distill that into a physical representation in the distillery, that's the goal.
It's gonna be amazing. I mean, it really is just it's breathtaking. It's something that feels it evokes your brand, Kentucky, but something so much more that's global. And I know that's all part of it as well. Such a beautiful whiskey. Do you remember, David, the first Blue Run that you tried? Which one they poured for you?
Yeah, they were, well, so I was kind enough to pour me a dram at Bardstown. We met the next day at the distillery, and it was Reflection 1, and just loved the product. And then, they sent me a couple bottles as well to the office. We did the bourbon exchange, and I had a lot of jealous friends because I brought them straight home and didn't want people seeing a bottle sitting around the office. And so brought them home, had some friends over, and they were just like, holy cow, you've got a couple bottles of Blue Run. They were impressed. And, I'm relatively new to this whiskey scene. I fell in love with the category about 20 years, or the product about 20 years ago. Told my dad we should make a whiskey, and he said, no, we're good at one thing, and that's beer. Go back to school. And so I did.
Tried to convince him a while back, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I did try, and I was not a rebel. I should have been. But I had a number of friends over the last several years that have helped me on the whiskey journey. And during COVID, I was doing my countertop blending, coming up with Five Trail and that blend. And so as I got to know the Blue Run team and just understand how they were approaching things, and they taught me stuff, and it's just been fun going on that journey and being at this juncture we're in today.
And I should ask Mike too. Do you remember the first Coors beer you ever had?
Yeah, it came out of a keg, and I was in Eastern Washington at the time. Probably a few days north of my 21st birthday.
Right.
And, there's something special about it. There really, really is. And you never forget that moment. And so Tom, I think that I am just incredibly excited about what the future holds, and the excitement of, essentially, we're saying we're sending our child to college, right? Blue Run is going to college, but the beauty of it is that we get to go with our child, right? We're attending with them, and that is what's so incredible, is that myself and my co-founders are going to stay involved and driving this journey, and that was always critical to us, right? Because it was never an issue of no matter how much I like David, I never wanted to just hand him the keys and say good luck, right? That's not a recipe for success for anybody, and we love the idea of partnership, like I mentioned, with good people, because that's how you really create a legacy. And David, in a handful of years, can go back and say, well, our family's good at two things, right? We can do beer and we can do spirits, and what's next?
And you can look forward to potentially other spirits. I mean, obviously so much big news this week, but will there be potentially other spirits that we'll see from the Coors Spirits Company?
Well, I like to say we're only 3 days in, so there's certainly plenty to learn and think about. We got our hands full for now, and very focused on the bourbon and whiskey portfolio that we have and driving that forward, but not closed out to anything. But the job number one is ensuring that these wonderful whiskeys and bourbons get to as many folks as we can.
Right. Now, I probably wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask some questions that I know will be out there in the world of bourbon. Obviously, I've always been a fan of the Coors beers and a Blue Run, but we're going to see probably some people in the bourbon community or whiskey community saying, here's this brand, Coors is purchasing them. There's these bourbon brands that are being purchased by larger companies from all over the world. What's up with that? How does that help the bourbon? What's it going to look like going forward? I want to throw it out there just to have you guys address, because I feel like I wouldn't probably be doing my job as much as I like both of you all if I did.
Well, David, you want to start that? I'm happy to. We can kind of trade off, because I think we both have great points to make here.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, on my side, and I think part of what Mike he said it to me at home. I mean, I kind of knew it going in, but when it resonated with him was this project. What we started on, and even what we're naming this thing going forward has my name on it, literally, and we have a staunch focus on quality, whether that's on the beer side or now on the whiskey side. And so I'm very passionate about this category. I just have been enthralled. I tell people it's like a whole new encyclopedia that I'm learning, where brewing is complicated and there's a number of different factors. But when you get into making bourbon, I mean, you're talking about you're brewing up front, and then you got distillation, you got different mash bills, char levels, different aging times, locations in the rick houses. I mean, all these different factors that come together, and it's so complex. And that's what I fell in love with as I started to learn more and more. And I don't want anything going out there that doesn't have a high quality stamp on it. And then we'll ensure that going forward.
Yeah.
That's really well said, David. And we have always been about quality. Yes. And that quality will remain. There's a commitment to quality. But there's so much more to this, right? There's 150 years of history and experience that we get to draw upon. That's you can't replicate that. There are brilliant people involved with the Molson Coors Beverage Company that we get to tap into. We've been a very small operation now for 3 years, and so now we're going to have more resources, more leverage, more hands on deck, and that's just going to be better for the brands, but that's also better for the whiskey community. Everybody's going to benefit from this partnership.
I can feel that. I really can. Just from talking to you all together, I can feel that from the different expertise, the different history that you're drawing upon, and just two wonderful brands coming together. So I know it'll be great for whiskeys going forward. And going forward, Blue Run does have a few new releases coming later this year. We can't tell you all about them, but they're going to be coming.
They're coming, right? And they're great.
They're coming,
I am really excited about it. In fact, if you follow the TTB announcements, you'll know what's on the way. But this next release we have coming, I'm buying a few cases or more because let me just tell you, Shaylin Gammon, who we all know is not only a rising star but a superstar, has just knocked it out of the park. She has some incredible things coming, and I cannot wait for people to taste them.
Excellent. And on the Five Trail and Barmen side, will we be seeing some new releases coming too?
Yes, you will. This fall, we'll be doing our second batch of our barrel proof. So the first batch of that released won 95 points at the International Wine and Spirits Competition and a gold medal at San Francisco. 119 proof, delicious product, one of my favorites in our portfolio. And so we're doing another batch of that. And I mentioned our cask finish series that we developed last year. We're going to have a new release of that. Working on the timing of that, but little teaser, it's aged in some really unique stuff tied back to the beer side of things. So we'll have to come back and talk with you when that does release.
Well, I think that also, looking at the larger, and I can't wait to try both of these, all these, actually not both, just all of them, because I know they're going to be delicious. I think, looking at the larger question for the world of beverages, when you look at a legacy beer company purchasing a whiskey company, it really, it says something about what's happening in the world of American whiskey. What do you all think it says? And what do you hope that, and you addressed it a little bit earlier, but I just want to, continue that discussion too. What do you hope consumers take away from that? What do you hope it says for your legacy?
Yeah, Mike, I can maybe start with that.
Why don't you? Yeah.
3 years ago when we started this journey, there's a few reasons why we got in this space. One is the front end of the process ties back to the brewing process, which we know something about. Another piece was certainly the category trends were favorable. And the third piece was I had a huge passion for whiskey and bourbon. So the three of those made sense to go back to Dad and say, we got to do this now. And so that worked out. But honestly, as I've gotten to work in the whiskey industry and meet a bunch of folks across it and go to Kentucky a ton, I've just been so impressed with how wonderfully friendly and nice. I mean, it's just been really fun to enjoy and experience that across the board. And so I think consumers more and more are starting to find their way into the space because the product's complex. There's so much to learn about it. It's just delicious, and it's approachable in certain instances, and some can be a little bit more complex, but there's a journey people can go on. And so I think there's plenty of run room for the category.
Yeah. And we feel the same. We are excited that the Molson Coors family wanted to plant a flag in this American whiskey category and make a bold statement and announce that they're here to stay. This is a really big moment.
Yeah, it really is.
And I mentioned it earlier, but the consumer benefit is tangible, right? Everybody wins through this acquisition. And I win because I get to work and hang out with David Coors. How cool is that, right? We're going to be able to do things like double our staff, right? I'm just excited about the kind of the 360 of this in its entirety. And I should also point out, David mentioned, that we met through some good folks at the Bardstown Bourbon Company, but we also share the great Peggy No Stevens in common as well. And so, when you think about quality, you think about, Peggy No Stevens and Jim Rutledge and Shaylin Gammon. And, this is just, we're gonna do more, better, stronger, faster. It's like City of Saltius Fortius, right? It's like we're the Olympics coming together here. And it's really, this is Tom, this is a really exciting moment for David and I and the rest of our teams. And we just couldn't be more thrilled that we have this opportunity before us.
I'm really happy for you. I mean, to me, looking at what, on top of what you all have said, question I'm asked often, and I'm sure you all get this question too. One of the top questions on bourbon is there an end in sight? Will this growth continue? And no matter what, I do believe it will continue. I don't think we're going to see a slump in bourbon like we saw in the 70s, 80s, 90s. This to me, though, this week with this kind of news really shows just how much the world cares about bourbon and like you said, making the mark, sticking the flag and saying we're here. And I think there's no end in sight. And this helps to continue to confirm it. Not that it's not already confirmed, helps to continue to confirm it. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you all back on here on Bourbon Blog. And thanks for being with us. Big congrats to you all. I'm sure several rounds of whiskey have been poured to celebrate. I'm sure they'll continue to be, and we'll keep on pouring too.
Excellent.
Can't thank you enough,
Thanks for
Tom.
having us, Tom.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.